Hi folks, and welcome to Schick Happens. In today's episode, I'm going to do my fall meal using 1 can of beer as part of the ingredients. I've challenged 5 other channels to do the same, and they have till about Thanksgiving to get their video up. I'm not sure if this is going to air before they get theirs up or even what they're doing. I am looking forward to seeing what they're doing. But today it's sprinkling. There's probably raindrops hitting the camera and the microphone now. So I'm going to get in the barn here and show you what I'm putting together for my fall meal challenge using a can of beer as one of the ingredients here on Schick Happens. So what I'm going to put together for my meal is about a 3.5 pound bottom round boneless roast. That's going to be the main meal. For a side dish, I'm going to do some shrimp, some yellow squash, and cherry tomatoes. I'm going to probably do that on the grill wrapped in foil. This here, this bottom round roast, I'm going to do in the smoker. As stated in the challenge, you have to use 1 can of beer as part of the ingredients, and I fully intend on doing that. I have 2 different seasoning mixes here. One's a Cajun seasoning, and one's an au jus powder or seasoning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half this can of beer, put it in this mixing cup, with a couple tablespoons or teaspoons of this au jus seasoning. That then is going to get injected into this roast. The other half of the can of beer, I'm going to use some of this Cajun seasoning and do a little mix with that. And that's what I'm going to douse when I get the shrimp, the zucchini, and the cherry tomatoes in the foil. This is going to get poured over it, and that's what I'm going to throw on the grill. Now this will be later on today that I'll make the vegetables and the shrimp, because that's only going to take about 30 minutes. This here could take up to 4 or 5 hours. So I'm going to get started on this first. Alright, I got it injected with half a can of that beer and that au jus mix. There's some that bled out here, but I'm not going to let that go to waste. That would be alcohol abuse. So what I'm going to do is take this off, and I'm going to grab the Cajun seasoning and give this thing a good rub and use this leftover beer mix just to ensure I got a good coating on this. All right, so my next step is I'm going to get my charbroil smoker out. It's just an electric smoker. And I'm going to get this preheated. I'll probably set the temperature around 250. The temperature that I'm targeting for this roast over here, internal temperature around 155, somewhere around in there. But that's going to take 4 or 5 hours. And then once I pull it out, I want to wrap it in some foil and let it rest for another half hour. So that's what I'm going to do now, is get the roast, get the smoker going, and get a probe in the meat so I can monitor the temperature. And I think I might go with a mesquite wood for the wood chips.
Honey,
What?
what are you doing?
Oh, I'm working on that food challenge video with the beer. I got one other half can here to use. Alright, so I'm going to take this other half a can of beer in this Cajun seasoning and do another little mix. This is what I'm going to pour on top of the vegetables and shrimp. And there we go. I'm going to add just a little bit more Cajun seasoning to the top of this. I'm going to wrap this in some foil and I'll put it in the fridge probably till that chunk of meat's done. And then I'll get this going on the grill. It'll take, I don't know, half hour or so. Alright, well, we'll check back here in about 4 to 6 hours and see where we're at on my fall meal using a can of beer as part of the ingredients. So 148, she's getting close. I'll probably give it to about 155 for internal temperature. Get it out of there, wrap it, and then let it rest for a half hour or so. All right, folks, the internal temperature of this is at 155 now. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of the smoker, get it wrapped in a couple layers of foil. That temperature, I'm sure, will keep climbing a little bit as it rests, but I definitely want that to rest at least for a half hour, maybe even an hour. Alright, I'm going to let the roast set, as I mentioned, for about an hour. I was going to leave it go a half hour, but I think an hour wrapped up in the foil, and then I put a towel around it. I'm going to let that go for about an hour, just for all the juices to redistribute in the meat. And here in about a half hour, I'll get the grill moved over to the bay door, get it fired up, and get those vegetables and shrimp on the grill here, and probably cook them for a half hour or so. Alright folks, I got the shrimp and the vegetables on the grill. I'm going to let that run for maybe 30 minutes or so, and then we'll dive into some food. Alright folks, this absolutely looks and smells delicious. I'm going to cut into this and see what we got, and then we're going to do some taste testing. That is fantastic. And that Cajun spice, perfect amount of kick. Not hot, just extremely flavorful. Very pleased on how this turned out. Thanks for joining me here today at Schick Happens. I sincerely appreciate you coming along on my take of the food challenge. And I really am looking forward to seeing what the other 5 channels come up with using a can of beer and their ingredients. Now during this filming, I don't know if any of them have completed one yet, but I am looking forward to seeing what they come up with. And as they post their video, I'll put their video in the link down below in my video until all 5 of them have completed it. It should be interesting to see what everybody comes up with using a can of beer and their ingredients for a fall meal.